So I am Kim Rodriguez, and yes, I am very passionate, so we'll see how this all goes. So I don't know where Bobby went, but I think Bobby's presentation was almost written. My name should have just been Hurdle, because I'm so used to now hearing with Covenant, scope, schedule, budget. Oh, thank you. And like for like, and I usually go like for like except, and then so that goes well. But Hurdle, yeah, data for enterprise, probably like every other company out there, we'll just come right out and tell you that it's dirty data. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I move through the presentation. But I am so appreciative that you actually allowed me to come and speak. So most of you up here have not had to have any notes, but I'm going to tell you, I'm a little nervous in front of a whole bunch of technical people because I am solely from the sales side, and I pretend to be this much technical. According to our salespeople, I'm technical, which is pretty sad. So at least with them, I can make it up. With here, I probably need to be a little bit more careful. So very, very nice bio in there, but to just put it into layman's terms, I've been with Enterprise for a really long time. I've been there 25 years, which I know is not common in a lot of industries, but every time I've been promoted, it really has been like a new job. And so we'll talk about, when I say Enterprise, I don't mean just a brand, I mean Enterprise Holdings. So I'm 25 years with the company, and mostly in operations and sales. So for any of you that have seen any of the commercials lately about the total transportation solution, that's what I sold. I started when I graduated from college and had no idea what I wanted to do, had a degree in nutrition, had this great idea that I was going to go and become a pharmaceutical rep and needed to get sales responsibility. Needless to say, 25 years of washing cars, running a business, and moving up to the ranks, it's been a great ride. So I hope I can share some of that perspective when we talk about today using Dynamics 365, which will be in the cloud for us, which is quite a philosophical shift. I want to thank Covenant for having me. I have two of my favorite people from our IT department here, so if we have really technical questions, first of all, I've got Mike Busby here, I've got Doug Meyer, I've got Julia Wart from Microsoft, and then I've got my two internal compadres here. So let's get started. Oh, this is my journey. So let's just take a look at the agenda. One of the things that I thought I would start with was just to help you understand the power and the strength of the brands. Enterprise Holdings is much more than a car rental company, and clearly we need a system of record that can contain all of that information. I think that currently we don't use all the powerful tools available in a CRM, and as I listened to what Mike talked about earlier today and it going into talent and a bunch of different areas, right now I believe we're using it just for the sales, and we use the customer service. We're looking at other opportunities as we move forward. So when we talk about the power and strength, again, talking about Enterprise Holdings as the parent company, we own a multitude of brands that I'll go through, specifically the flagship brand of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, National Car Rental, and Alamo Rent-A-Car are the three brands primarily engaged. And some of the reason I wanted to bring this to you is just to talk about, best way to say it, and I know the Covenant people here will agree, we at Enterprise, when we're going into the Dynamics 365 upgrade here, we herd cats for a living. And so I wanted to give you just a perspective of what that means based on the brevity of our brands. So currently we own 1.9 million vehicles. That includes an affiliate named Enterprise Fleet Management. So many of you, or some of you may be leasing cars from us. 9,600 locations. That is worldwide. We're in roughly 90 countries now. We operate under all three of those brands, so Enterprise Rent-A-Car, National Car Rental, and Alamo Rent-A-Car. One of the things when you talk about 9,600 locations as a differentiator for our competition, we actually have brick and mortar stores. So when we say 9,600, that means that you can go into any of those locations and receive service. new numbers came out before, I submitted this PowerPoint just a couple days ago, but we already had new numbers come out. We grew last fiscal year to over $22 billion. Still privately held company. Still, many of you in this room may know Andy Taylor. Jack Taylor was the founder, and his daughter now is our COO. Pam Nicholson was recently named for the 11th year in a row as one of the most powerful CEOs by Fortune magazine. So again, just talking about what CRM does for our organization. It's very important that we be able to communicate, very important that we have a customer service entity that allows us to have a 360-degree view of our customers, so it's not only a sales perspective or a customer service perspective, but we're also looking at a number of different things within CRM to connect into contact center and a bunch of other business divisions. So the strength. It was just published that we went from 97,000 employees up to 100,000 employees. Happy to tell you that even with all the disasters, we're only haven't heard from about 90 of our employees, so we're pretty excited about that 100,000 is still there, and that they're safe. So what does that mean? That means that if you start in any of our traditional training programs or are a counter person, you sell. Do we have dedicated salespeople that are business to business, business to consumer? Absolutely. Those are in the thousands. But as a company, when you come into any of our training programs, you're taught to sell. So when you sell, you can go into many branches, and their sales system could potentially be a notebook in the back of the room that every time there's some movement in personnel, they update a piece of paper. So fast forward, that's how we all started, and even when I was starting in sales, that's how we communicated. Thankfully, back in 2004, we started using CRM. I think it had to be on premise, right? Okay. Ranked 15th as one of the largest privately held companies, and we are the only investment grade rental car company in the industry. So I specifically picked out the enterprise brand and the national brand. Alamo is typically our tour and leisure brand. I will tell you from my perspective, I mostly work with the enterprise and national brands, which is why we're kind of keeping in that circle today. But with our company, you not only can rent a car, but we are really a total transportation solution provider. And the reason that I bring this up, I know I will get to the reason that all of this connects with CRM. But to give you perspective on this, you've got a number of different salespeople in a number of vastly different, I'm going to say, business lines that need to connect because you are our customer. You rent the car. You might do it personally on the weekends. You probably work for a company, which clearly you do, or you own the company, and you might have a need for transportation that way. But if you think about it, we provide solutions to your transportation needs, and the only way to communicate that is through a tool. Okay, I get it. There's email, which you would pretty much say most of our salespeople got away with doing up until probably February 8th. They might still get to do that, and February 8th is our launch date. But communication is incredibly important within our organization. So not only to be able to transfer leads and transfer sales and help bring value to our customers, but it's incredibly important because if we walk into your company and they don't know that somebody else was just there from Enterprise, it's a big waste of your time and their time. So some really fun things in here. We've got an exotic car collection. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but you can rent anything from a Ferrari. So it's pretty fun. A lot of motion pictures you'll see our cars in, especially some of the exotic cars. One of the things we don't have up here is we actually own a Enterprise motorcycle in Las Vegas, so we rent Harleys there. And rideshare. You might have seen that on the TV around here for commute solutions. So if you need to share a ride to work, we do that too. Okay, guys, technology innovations. I thought this is pretty pertinent to the clientele that we might be talking to. What it means is that we've got a lot of different ways for you to connect with our company. Maybe I should turn. We've got mobile apps. We've got an enterprise rent-a-car, enterprise car share. We've got national car rental, and a variety of other apps. Emerald Checkout. Again, just living with the technology space. If you haven't had a chance, it's simply you just scan the barcode on a car at National Car Rental, and literally you can be out of the Phoenix airport within 4 minutes from the consolidated facility. So again, powerful things that we're trying to connect with our customers, but customers are also people that we sell to. So again, communication. If that experience goes bad at Emerald Checkout, it's often communicated to us in a variety of different ways. It would be great if it could be leveraged almost immediately in a system. That, I know, is the future. I get it, like for like. Except, no, I'm just kidding. So, like for like, but those are things that we're looking at. And again, we've got visionaries in the room from a number. One thing you'll find at Enterprise is, and I don't know how it is with your companies, so again, this is our user story, is we've got partners. We've got partners that are working with us directly, Covenant specifically. We've got partners in Microsoft, but we have partner and friends that work within the organization, and really business and IT together make it possible. If we have one without the other, it just doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to be smooth. It doesn't seem to be a viable solution with us. It really is stuff we sit in the room, and some of you guys have been, and we fight it out. Sales usually has to be told in a different language. Like, I was pretty sure Bobby was speaking English. It didn't really mean except for the like part. Tablets, if you rent any cars locally here, we have something called the Launchpad, which just lets you have an interaction at the car instead of a transaction at a counter. So it just talks a lot about our technology marrying you to the car, or the person being married to the car, or the car being married to you. In-car technology, we've got the connected car. I'm sure it's no secret out there about some of the innovations out there coming from Google and different companies where you'll have self-drive. I will tell you that it's going to impact the industry beyond words. Fun fact is that the average car on the road, though, is 11 years old. So imagine that. You've got in-car or self-drive cars connected, and then you've got an 11-year-old car that basically doesn't have a lot of technology. So you can imagine your repair costs might go up. So that's just a fun fact for you. Not that fun, but. Geocoding, being able to point you to the closest branch. One loyalty program. So we can always talk more about the connection piece on that. But again, whole point is that technology is out there, it's real time, and we want to make sure that with our CRM that it connects us all together. Okay. So what do you do when you're on 2013 on-prem? And you're going to go to a whole brand new philosophical digital transformation and innovation. And you're going to move all of that to the cloud. You're going to potentially move hundreds of thousands of accounts. And oh, by the way, it's global in nature. And oh, by the way, in that 2013 version, you had about five different systems all collide. So you had multiple sets of data in there. So first, you get really overwhelmed. And then you spend a lot of time thinking about it. Then you just get to work. Well, I have to tell you that having incredibly helpful partners is one of the best things you can do. So we really needed to have a vision, right? So we all decided, okay, we are going to move, which is a very expensive venture in itself, to move from on-prem to the cloud for us. So it's not anything that we take lightly. But we thought, okay, we've got to figure out, well, where do we want to go? So our company has a great mission statement, and most of it revolves around our customer. And for the people that are in the room with me that are with Enterprise and myself, our customers are really our internal customers. Granted, we will end up helping our outside customers, but internally, we have a very sensitive crowd of customers that we have one shot at getting this right. So that's really what's kept me up at night. We have one shot of getting adoption and training, or we've lost it. Because I can tell you, sitting in the room and doing 2013, we simply did that with about 5 people. 5. So you can imagine, and 3 of them were salespeople. So we had 2 IT people that helped us upgrade. Let's just say that we did a few things, I don't want to say wrong, I think that we just weren't knowledgeable at that time, right? We didn't probably use all of our resources as best we could. I mean, everything happens for a reason. So one of the things that we started talking about was, yes, you have to create a vision, but I will tell you one of the single things if I pound into your heads today is to make sure that if you are the owner of a company or you're a partner helping a company integrate, or you are doing this, you need senior leadership support. If you do not push it from bottom up and top down and socialize this, then you are already setting yourself up for failure. Simply by, I can tell you both ways. I can tell you what a difference it is on just our launch. We have hundreds of people helping us with this launch. Maybe, at least 50, maybe. Mark's like, so one of the things that we did is we started to work with Microsoft on what does a vision look like. And believe me, it went through a bunch of different iterations, because then again, if you're going to socialize this, you have to be able to speak to it pretty quickly. So we came up with 3 things, basically to improve our global sales productivity. And that can include a lot of different things, and we'll talk about the business value in a second. But the other thing was to increase visibility and communication across all business lines to grow our business, and to maximize efficiency among salespeople and support teams. That's the other thing that I failed to mention in this whole thing. We have a whole entire shared services that have complete and complex workflows that allow our salespeople to be on the road, yet get work done and have awesome collateral and products given to our sales teams to support all those efforts. That's all done through workflows through CRM currently. So I would say that if I had to think of 2013 again, and I know I'm stepping back for a moment, most of our salespeople, to level set, think of 2013 as a ordering tool, a processing tool. If they put something in, they will get something back. So we've got that type of compliance. Now you need to understand that it's an entire transformation. That's only a small little bit. But guess what? We didn't have the senior leadership. We didn't have our officer level employees really engaged in that 2013. So it was okay to go outside of CRM, not to get things processed, because that's when you start to get into legal compliance and all those fun things that you have to deal with. So we had to have records for that. But for all those activities, they're on spreadsheets over here and they're email over here, and we just called each other and texted each other, which is great. LinkedIn, free LinkedIn has been very helpful. I will tell you, I don't know if Barb is here anymore, but looking at Sales Navigator, potential game changer for us to synergize within our company. I know they're in the infancy stage of all that, but it's very interesting. The other thing that I failed to mention is we only had about 3 of our business lines. So again, bringing back that original slides that I showed, we didn't have all of our business lines even engaged in CRM. And so today we've got, and this is just to help, again, I don't want to beat this down, but the complexity of the story that we're showing, and if we can get together and do all this, all of your people that you're working with totally can do this. Now, I am saying this, we have not launched yet, so maybe I'm going to come back to the next one and finish the story. So, but we've got right now business rental, truck sales, insurance replacement, manufacturing partnership, travel agency, affinity, domestic tour, flexi rent, ride share, car share, IM teams, which are information management teams that oversee corporate tour and leisure business, airport relations, and sales support. So, yeah, that is lots of communication that needs to happen. But the tool is so awesome that they'll have mobile capability now, which is completely new to our environment. We've got fantastic apps for you to book cars, to rent cars, to do a bunch of stuff. However, we didn't have options for our sales teams to communicate mobily through any type of sales tool or an aggregated sales tool. Believe me, there's enough texts, emails, all that kind of stuff. I will tell you another game changer for us is we're leveraging for the first time the business processes, the chevrons across the top. That's something that we didn't do before. So it really is going to start to easily educate the business lines that weren't a part of our original 2013, understand when you get into this tool what you need to do to qualify a lead, to move it to the next stage, opportunities, and then to the closing stage. Now, what does that do for you? It helps you, I'm sure most companies out here all have a sales process. That's following a sales process, but what it does is it leverages all that information in aggregate so that we can report back to that senior leadership about what all the great things our salespeople are doing. It also helps them utilize dashboards and things like that in a more productive way so that we can monitor, again, increasing that global sales productivity. We are a global company, and that's one thing that it really took to look at an online presence going to the cloud, is that we can all do this. They have multiple languages, and I know that probably some people in the room are laughing because it's probably not a meeting that I go, is that in German? Because there is nobody that is going to have an excuse not to use this tool. So, broke down a little bit the business value. Again, understanding and being coached not only from some of our partners but internally, it's all about bringing value. I think all of you sitting in this room, every day you have to bring value to whomever you're working with in order to stay at the top of your game and actually sometimes keep your jobs. So really, and I've got to give credit to my fantastic business analyst here, he has come up with a wonderful slogan that he gets all the credit for, Jared. He's sitting right there in case you want to thank him later. Transforming CRM from an accessory to a necessity. I think that kind of says it all. So it's been an accessory, now it's a necessity. If we could make that into an acronym, it would even go over quicker for our company. But it's really about building business value and agreeing to utilize one tool as the only version of the truth. So we have a long way to go, but it's from the top down, and this time we're all in agreement. Our COO will be launching the initial communication to talk about what's coming, and then we'll be specifically, so there's an entire communication strategy around this. That, believe me, when it was the 5 of us sitting in the room, that was 2 weeks before we're going to send an email out. Can you build an email header? Okay, it's coming. Oh, it's here. And I'm being very facetious in that. We did do planning and we did our absolute best, but I'm talking from a perspective of that this cannot be an overnight venture. If you're going to invest in a tool and you're going to have your partners or your people that you're working with invest in this, you don't have a lot of shots to get it right. So that's my user story. Mobile platform, better sales visibility, single source, and increasing efficiency, globalization. That is a hot topic in our organization right now because I'm going to give you a real life example today. So Puerto Rico, I think all of you are aware that there was a pretty awful occurrence there. One of the things that we do have CRM 2013, so I would tell you one of the things that we're using to communicate is some of our largest customers are helping us get different necessities into Puerto Rico. You can imagine what fuel situations are like and a whole bunch of different things. But utilizing those relationships that are in Dynamics, so we're looking at the Puerto Rican accounts because we can see visibility, and we're using it from the United States to put 2 and 2 together to make phone calls, to make different build different strategies to help not only all the people of Puerto Rico, but helping our employees too. So it's been a pretty interesting case study alone in how you can, once you become creative, how you can communicate with people that have no way to communicate. So. Okay, so we're going to move on to, I took a sigh, or I had a sigh right there, because this is probably the single most important thing after we get this thing to the cloud. It's going to be the adoption and training. So I already talked about communication, so that's number 1. I put it in with the ability to adopt the tool. So again, I've read a lot about digital transformation and a whole bunch of different innovations and trying to innovate, and I get it that it's all on a mobile platform or a tablet of some kind or a desktop. But the first thing is to, because salespeople are all about the newest thing. I mean, the buzzing that came out about the different platforms and iPhones and things like that, they all run out and get the different things. So that's what we're trying to create with Dynamics 365, is the newest buzz in our organization. It's going to be very exciting to have the app and things like that. So we're trying to make like for like, but a little bit different to take advantage of some of the newest things available to us. You know, hire covenant, ask for help and best practices, and be adamant about that. And so if you don't understand something and you're not on the technical side, you have to ask for help. Your IT people will help you translate. I'm sitting on IM and IMing with my friend Mark out there going, what's a SKU? I'm like, does that mean it's a license? Does it mean, he's like, and he told me, but that's, I have to understand what I'm paying for. I'm not doing my due diligence for the company. Relentless communication. Oh, define success metrics. I would suggest that you keep them simple. We're really good at complicating, and it sounds great when you roll it out. You know, you've got this great PowerPoint, and you've got all these different things out there, but get them to use it. That's our whole plan, is get in there, have some fun. We'll launch gamification a couple months or so after, but our whole premise is to get them in there. Not only defining the key performance indicators, but you have to have key result indicators. How do you know if it's worked, right? And it really needs to be down to a salesperson. This is only going to work if it's top down, bottom up, and then you've got those middle level or executive managers that are actually managing out of the tool. So that was one of the things. We've got strong users, guys. Don't get me wrong. 2013 was not a complete disaster. We have a lot of people that are doing the right thing, driving lots of business. And you know, we've got a whole bunch of different people within that spectrum. So by no means did this not work. However, one of the things that we allowed was our mid to executive managers to not have to utilize the tool. Well, what does that do? If some of you aren't consistent and others are, you only get half the picture. So when our COO or our CEO comes to me and asks, tell me about Microsoft's relationship, she's not asking me about just business rental. She's asking me, what's our relationship on truck rental? What are our brands doing? That's what we have to be able to talk about when we launch this tool. So we've started to create our super user network. And then make sure that any of the enhancements that you are going to make, like for like, accept, apply in principle to all business lines for us. So we did not sit in a vacuum and say, because we are the largest user base, meaning business rental or truck, that we need it this way. Our whole goal was to have our IT people help us go, okay, but you're leaving out the affinity people, and if you want them to be engaged in this, can we try it this way? And then it's my job with that information to go back to the business stakeholders. So we're trying a number of different ways with socializing this within our organization, in that we've got our IT people helping us, and they're socializing among the other areas that they support. The business stakeholders are socializing among all their other people and offering to do extra demos and do a bunch of different stuff to help them. So it really is, you know, you've got to train across the board. You can't train specifics. We would never have enough resources. Now, if I want to customize something, that clearly, if it's within my budget, I can do it, but we're really trying to make it so that it is workable across all the business lines. So, because you didn't get any of my thoughts during the whole presentation, I thought I might give them to you now. So, it's about progress, not perfection. It's about turning it from an accessory into a necessity. It's about being flexible, and I don't mean flexible just in one specific area, but it's really taking a look at what's best for you and your organization. Expect the unexpected, but take a deep breath. this, we all get a little frantic, but at the end of the day, we all deal with IT issues every day. Your app doesn't come up fast enough. Your email doesn't send. You have to shut your phone off and start it again. It asks for your darn password. So there's all kinds of things, and those are very minimal. I get it, but we live in a world that you need to have the unexpected, be ready for the unexpected. Lean on your colleagues and internal partnerships with IT, corporate training, and marketing and communications. Maybe some companies don't have all of that. I guess we have, I'm very lucky that I've got a team that helps. So it is not me at all, guys. So this is our user story. I really lean on a lot of people, and I think that's one of the things that if I let, because I'm a control freak, let Jared and Mark speak, that they would tell you that we try really to be collaborative and to not have secrets. If something's wrong, we need to make sure that we talk about it amongst all of our business stakeholders. So in the end, those are the overall thoughts. We are very excited to launch in February. There are a lot of events coming up. I think our first communication from our COO will come out very soon. And we'll start from there. We've already built our new email header. And we've start UAT test or UAT in November. So it's all coming really fast. Couldn't do it with a lot of you in the room, so thank you very much. And that's my story.
Right? Clearly passionate about what she's doing. So thank you, Kim. Any questions?
What will be the user load? What's the concurrent user load you're able to achieve with this rollout?
I don't know what that means.
How many people will be logged in at the same time?
We've got about 3,300 users right now, but I don't know that I've gotten some recent statistics about concurrent users. We do have, 15% of the population or so in Europe, so that reduces our concurrent user load somewhat. But I don't have an exact figure there. You know, Jared?
So it sounds like for those that couldn't hear, about 3,300 concurrent users at any given time. Clearly, we don't know what we don't know, so we probably will be expanding that, talking about all the different business lines that we talked about here. And then we're looking at long-term approach of having all of our locations have access to it, so that would definitely impact our concurrent usership. Yes?
What do you expect the data size that you have with the
So we asked data size. Is that how many terabytes?
yeah.
3? 4? 4? 4 terabytes?
That's global, right?
Global. And it's already been passed. Security and privacy have already said yes. Yes?
So you asked to make sure and get their best practice recommendations. Were there areas where you weren't able to take them, and why?
Great question. So the question is did we ask for best practices and then we got best practices and weren't able to implement? I think one of the things that we're still struggling is there's a lot of different best practices about cleaning your data. And I would say that I'm not going to say there's no sales organization out there that is like us. We've got so many different layers that do so many different things on one account that they're all struggling to make sure that somebody isn't taking something from somebody else or calling on somebody else. I mean, just like any salespeople, we've got very assertive and aggressive people that we're struggling a bit with how do we leverage visibility and drive the right behavior at the same time with making sure people have the correct security level. Mike, would you say that's one of the, we're redoing it, but we didn't fit into a best practices, right?
So what they're doing from a security perspective, obviously they're building up lots of it via Teams. I mean, the best practice would be more ownership versus everything via Teams, but it's not going to work in their scenario. because they work more collaboratively as a unit. So there's not one salesperson for an account. You're trying to get it